Frank Leahy on Notre Dame's football team of 1941, so it was nice to see him again. All right, we have to move on. Here he comes. Had a sensational tour here on Broadway for the last couple of years in a hit show called Blood Brothers. Of course, a fabulous career before that, and now has written all about it in this book called Come On, Get Happy. Here's David Cassidy. David, how you doing? How are you? Good to see you. Yeah,
He's got my hair.
Yeah, Kathie just said David's got her hair.
No, I've got yours.
I wish I had your hair. Are you kidding?
First of all, congratulations on Blood Brothers.
Thank you very,
very much. 2 years or close to it, right?
Well, actually, no, but close to a year.
Close to a year? Gee, it seemed like you guys were there
Well, you've been doing this a long time.
I guess so.
Honest.
I guess so. But it was a great run, and people loved to have having you guys on Broadway.
We're actually we're closing on Sunday, and it's a very emotional week for all of us.
The show closing?
No,
or just you guys are moving out?
Yeah, Sean and Petula and I are leaving.
Yeah.
And it's been very, very emotional this whole
I
week.
bet it will be.
Sunday's our last performance, and I'm going to miss it. I just want to say thank you to everybody here that has been so supportive of it. Yeah.
That's an awful nice credit to have in your resume, you know,
Absolutely.
a hit run on Broadway.
Well, I have to say that that's the kind of job that I was really looking forward to doing after I left the Partridge Family, and I retired for about 3.5 years. And these are the kind of roles that I wanted to do as an actor that were not available for me. And it's so great having the perspective now of moving on and having this career again and being successful.
Well, the problem wasn't that David Cassidy couldn't get the jobs, it was Keith Partridge couldn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to get away from that took a long time and a lot of work.
Well, it certainly did. A lot of work on myself emotionally, and it's been a long, hard struggle for me, you know. This book is very reflective and very honest and very revealing about it. And I think the most important thing about it is that there is an insight that so many people have been curious about what it was like to be there at the focal point of all that adulation and that attention. And it was wonderful, it was exhilarating, and it was also tremendously intimidating, you know.
Well, you're not prepared at the age of, what were you when you started?
I started at 19.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, exactly. I mean, if you're 39, it's a tough
Still
one.
a thing.
It also, the lack of control that in the 1970s that we had.
As a society, you mean?
Well, yeah, I think that now, because we're all so much more accessible, there is no longer hysteria like there was. I think also that in the 1970s, there was an innocence that still was prevalent in the audiences are so much more sophisticated now. And in those days, it was very, very difficult to have people see who you were, you know? And particularly for me, playing that part.
Well, absolutely. Now let's take a look at some of the pictures from the book. Why don't you just reminisce here?
I'll reminisce. That was actually the back cover. I'd love to say that was my bedroom, but that was the back cover of an album that I did. The higher they climb, the harder they fall, and then Home is Where the Heart Is. And you know, after I left the Partridge Family, I did everything I could because I think, in a very real way, I was so successful being that guy on television, and people loved him. I sensed that people, perhaps at that age, I was very insecure and very frightened that people wouldn't, if they got a chance to see me, that they wouldn't really care about me. Yeah.
But a lot of that goes back, doesn't it? You talk quite poignantly in the book about your relationship with your father.
Yeah, it does. The more successful I became, the more famous I became, and I think in a lot of ways I achieved a lot of what he, as a young guy, was trying to achieve. And the more successful I became, it put a wedge between my dad and I. I think he resented it. And we never quite worked it out. We never resolved it. And
You know, it must have been kind of tough on him because there was his wife,
of course,
you, everybody associated with that family, and he was the one who wasn't.
He was a wonderful talent, and I revered him, and I loved him, and I cared so greatly about him. He left when I was 3.5.
Yeah.
And a lot of my, I think, longing for acceptance and people, at that point, I have to tell you, I went through 5 years of analysis to get through this. This was a very cathartic experience. It's very honest, and I think that I think I dealt with the people that were most responsible for me being who I am and surviving with great love and integrity. And I've tried to take the high road with this. And
That's not easy to do sometimes.
it's not easy to do.
And the honest road, too. All right, we're talking about David Cassidy's Come On, Get Happy book. We'll continue in a moment. We're with David Cassidy talking about his life, his new book coming out. Incidentally, big book party tonight.
Yeah.
They're kicking off the
Planet
book
Hollywood.
at Planet Hollywood at 5.
there.
That'll be fun.
Public is
5
invited.
o'clock.
And then on Monday, he hits the book tour. Show
Yeah.
closes for him on Sunday. He hits the
Well,
book
you don't
tour.
even get a break. You go
Yeah.
straight from the show to push in the book.
In fact, I think we close at my matinee on Sundays over at 6 o'clock. I'm on a 7:30 flight to LA, and I'm doing the Tonight Show on Monday. And I start this 3-week whirlwind PR book tour. I've never done this one, and I think, you know, because I've been very fortunate to be successful in different areas of this business. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not quite sure I'm up to the highbrow, you know, the literary set out there reviewing my life in my book. I don't know if I'm going to stand up to
We'll
all
see.
of it. But
Be
no, it's going to
interesting.
be great. I just wanted to say that sometimes when I'm talking reflectively about the Partridge Family in the 70s and those years, that I tend to draw on a lot of the experience that people were not aware of, what it was like to be this guy, that a lot of it was a lot of pressure, and I felt very intimidated by it. But I have to also say that it was the most phenomenal experience, and that people have always been there for me, have poured their hearts out and their love out to me, and I want to say how much I appreciate it now and then.
Well, that's good. That's nice. Well, I mean, just looking at these pictures here, you are, you know, the series spun
What
off the
about
whole
this outfit, huh?
concert tour.
Yeah.
But look at that crowd out
Yeah.
there.
Well,
Looks
I
like
think
you
that
at
was
Westbury,
taken.
Reach.
Yeah, was that you in
Yeah,
Westbury?
no, she's Miss America here having a little fun with
I
me.
think I still have that outfit, in fact, Regis. If
Do
you'd
you?
like, I could probably loan it to you.
Well, were they as chaotic as
Well,
when you think about the 70s, you think about drugs and the groupies and the sex and all of that?
Yeah, the 70s were filled with and riddled with all of that decadence. And growing up as a teenager in the 60s, I certainly wasn't immune to it. And going through the madness of all of that, I certainly wasn't immune to it either. During those years, fortunately for me, that I was working, I did not experiment with drugs or alcohol during those years. I had to stay as focused and as clear as possible.
But that came later on. Huh?
Later on, I went into a real
And it's,
dive.
and it's all here in this book.
Yeah.
David, thank you very, very much, pal. Great